Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live source. Hello and welcome. I have a very special interview here today that's a little outside of the conversations we normally have here. I'm here with certified sourced leader Julia Bernadsky, and we want to talk about leadership, but we're going to talk about leadership in a little bit different way, specifically leadership in Ukraine. And I'm going to start just by sharing a little bit about Julia. And Julia, you can see she's got the Ukraine symbolism on and has been dressed in blue and yellow for a year almost. Yes. And we're going to talk about that and really what we can learn from what's happening in Ukraine, how we can help, and wherever else this conversation takes us. So I just want to share a little bit about Julia. She is the founder of Untamed Hearts. I really should have worn some Untamed Hearts jewelry today. I have a bunch of it. And she is the creator of Untame Your Heart. Her work is all about teaching people to understand and speak the language of energy and create their lives and businesses with no fear or limitations. She believes that your power lies in your energy. Your strength comes from your intention. For the past 33 years, Julia has lived in New York, and she was born in Kyiv, Ukraine. A lot of her very close people are under attack, fighting for their lives, for their children, for the independence of their country, for freedom, and for life itself. Julia's heart has been breaking over the last 9+ months for the people of Ukraine and really for the world. And, we come from an energy perspective here. We come from this awareness that everything is sourced. And then we see war, we experience war, and we go like, why? And what is up with that? I know, Julia, as I've seen you support your people and navigate this experience of war in your home country, I've learned a lot. I've done my own inner work on the war within myself as a result of the work you're doing, which I believe shifts the energy on the planet. And I've been deeply inspired by your take on the leadership in Ukraine. So with that, where would you like to begin?
I'd like to begin with just taking a moment for all of us, wherever you are, whether you're watching us live or replay, just take a moment and drop it into your heart. I'm doing it for myself, just to ground myself right now, but also for all of us, just to get really present to the conversation about war, about attack, about war that possibly is happening within each one of us. One of the things that I've discovered, and I'd like to begin, if you don't mind, with personal, is the first place to look for the war is inside. Somehow, I feel personally that I'm responsible for the world, but not in the way that I carry the whole world on my shoulders, but in the way that energetically we all contribute to what is happening in the world. Energetically, the world is our movie. So when I look at what's happening in the world, the first place I look inside. And the work that I personally, on a very personal level, am doing is to dealing with the war inside of me. You said something that, Darla, most of the people are asking themselves, like, this war, like, why? Why did we need to face this? Why so harsh? Why so painful? Why so much suffering? I don't know the answer. I don't know why these innocent people, the innocent children, the old people, why they needed to die, why they need to suffer right now, the way they're suffering right now. I don't know. But I do know that Ukraine is teaching the whole world a lot right now. One of the biggest lessons that I see, and there are so many, is the consciousness of unity, the energy of peace. Yes, Ukraine is in the war, but the war is, they're defending their country. They're not attacking, and it's a very big difference. So they are defending their country, and it's the most human, the most normal reaction. But at the same time, the consciousness of that is peace. The reason why they're doing it is because they want to bring peace to their land. They want to have independence, and they are, and they always will be independent country. They're doing everything that any normal human being would do to defend their lives, their children. And we witnessing the choice. Every one of us has a choice, and like in our lives, it's just like a reflection in our lives. Like sometimes we say, oh, I didn't have a choice. Like, no, we always have a choice. And Ukraine had a choice too. And they chose to stand up to the biggest bully of the world. They chose, if they have to, we're gonna lose our lives, but we will not give up our independence and our freedom. That's a huge lesson to the world. There's so many countries who tried and they couldn't come through because Russia is the biggest bully of the world. They've done it many times. And what I would really like people to see is that whatever is happening with the person in Ukraine, it is happening with us right here, right now. And this consciousness of being one, we are one. We are not separated from each other, and we can, some people can feel it energetically, some people can feel it when their pocket is touched. In different ways, we are experiencing, whether or not we're aware of it, or we will be present to how much it affects every single one of us. So Ukrainian people they courageous beyond measure. They took upon themselves to fight for the whole world. But right now, the difference between winning and losing is our support.
Yeah. And Julia, we'll talk about that in a minute. You know, what can we do? How Untamed Hearts is helping, the different resources that you can provide. I wanted to ask a couple of questions. I'd love to hear just a little bit your own experience, you know, coming to the US and now being in the US and, you know, having friends that are back home. Just what would you like to share with people about your own journey to kind of get to know you personally?
Yes. So I left Soviet Union. So when I left to immigrate to America, I was 19 years old. What the country I left was Soviet Union. I was born in Kyiv, Ukraine. I grew up in Ukraine, but it was part of Soviet Union empire. And that's what they separated themselves from. And that's what they're fighting for right now, to stay independent. So when I left, I was 19 years old, was pregnant, 9 months pregnant, having contractions. Nobody knew about it. I mean, officials didn't know about it. And I managed to get on the plane. And from that point on, like, I just knew all I want to do is to get on the plane and get to the country that is free. So my journey was leaving a lot of friends back in Ukraine, relatives, and I don't know how far we want to go with that, but right now, I think most important, my experience right now, I speak with people who are very dear to my heart. And I've met a lot of people who I became friends with through this experience of helping Ukraine in any way that we can from here, to support them from here. So my friends, I speak with them almost every day. And what is happening right now, they're being bombed all the time. And so just to like bring it out to a more of a big picture view, what's happening right now, the civilians and civilian infrastructure is being affected, is being attacked. So what they are trying to do, they try to make people suffer. The winter is coming, it's very cold there. And so they are hitting, and when I say they, I mean Russian aggressors. They're hitting the infrastructure in Ukraine that affects hospitals, affects electricity, affects water. And because it's winter and it's very cold, it's an extremely difficult situation there right now. And I speak with my friends every day. And when I speak with them, I hear the bombs going off. I hear like people being killed in front of them. I'm someone who feels everything through my body. Yeah. It goes through me. And I feel like it's not fair to say for me because I'm here, but I feel that everything is going through me. I feel it so deeply. I feel the pain of people. I feel the despair. I feel the fear. And what people say is we are afraid. We don't have the light. It's extremely difficult to be in the darkness. And it's a blackout for like the one time there was blackout for more than 50 hours. Imagine all the buildings with a lot of floors. Imagine old people. Imagine hospitals, people who are on life support, who depend from the life support. Imagine little children. So all of that is such a huge test to them. It's so difficult. So my experience is not theirs. It's not I cannot possibly say it's their experience, but I feel so deeply the pain that they're going through right now. And not only them, I speak with soldiers. I know what's going on at the front line because we work with soldiers a lot. And so the conditions and what people are going through needlessly with absolutely, there's no reason for this to be happening. We could have stopped this war.
Julia, your jewelry business is called Untamed Hearts. I know you're wearing some of your pieces.
Yes.
And your coaching and your energy work is about untaming your heart as a leader.
Yes.
And I've heard you speak about this. I thought it was so beautiful. The Time Person of the Year of Zelenskyy. And I've heard you speak about his leadership and this place of leading with the heart, of allowing the heart to lead and having a model of this different type of leadership. And I feel that it really connects to your personal mission and passion. Can you share a little bit about this and what you would hope people would take from that different type of leadership?
Yes. Thank you, Darla, for focusing on that, because it's one of the most important things. What is happening in the world, the leadership in the world right now, the way it is right now, doesn't work. The testimony of it is the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine should have never happened. Even if or at least it should have never continued for almost, on February 24, it's going to be a year. So it's like 9 months now, right? So the fact that the world allowed it and didn't stop it is a testimony that something is really not working with how we are leading in the world. I'm so proud and I'm so happy, and I take it so personally. It was like I was rooting for my own child when I saw that Zelenskyy won. being the person of the year, and he was on the cover of New York Times Magazine. So at the same time, when on one side we see how leadership doesn't work, but on the other side we see how Ukraine, what is happening in Ukraine, the way Zelensky is leading this attack on Ukraine, is dealing with this war. He is not dealing with it as a regular politician. He is dealing with it as a person who deeply cares about life of every single human being. He is not accepting any of the bullshit, I'm sorry for that word, but political bullshit. He does not. He faces it in a way that politicians are shocked sometimes. And what's amazing is that people who were not supporting Ukraine are now being converted. People, I mean politicians and I mean institutions, they're being converted into supporters because they start to, their hearts start to open up. The UK, for example, the Prime Minister actually visited Ukraine, and after that visit, everything changed completely. When he saw what he saw, when he heard what he heard, his relationship to what is happening had changed. So Ukraine is teaching the whole world. Ukraine becoming like this, like the light is being shined on what doesn't work. And then it's teaching, it's showing the whole world that we cannot accept the old ways of being, the old ways of leading, submissions, going by the rules of old institutions that are becoming completely obsolete, that have nothing to do with caring for people, but have everything to do with caring for money and politics. So
can you speak a little bit about that, the leadership from the heart versus the old style of leadership?
Yes. So did you guys know, and probably many of you know, that Zelensky is not a politician? Yes, he has a degree in law, but he is an actor. He is more of a normal human being. Not that politicians are not, but they have a certain way of thinking, that logic is guiding everything. Actor, I can imagine it's somebody who needs to be able to feel people, to feel the character. And I think that ability to feel comes from the intelligence of the heart. It comes from being untamed, not following the rules of what the old systems are brainwashed people for centuries. New leadership that he is becoming a face of is guided by the intelligence of the heart. Ukraine, if you think about the whole world, Ukraine is the heart of the world right now. Not only that it's in the heart of the world, it's an untamed heart of the world. It's a place where people made a choice that is the hardest choice. And what I was trying to say, and I know I went for a little bit too much of an emotional place inside of me, but what I was really trying to say is, as my friends are telling me how scared they are, the next sentence goes, we will not give up. They will not break us. And those are the women who holding babies on their hands. They're saying that they will not break us. We are scared. They're very scared. They're human beings. Just like imagine the bomb is, a lot of bombs are exploding right around you. Imagine that. It's a normal thing to be scared, but it's not always something that people say immediately. We will not give up. We will not give in. They will not break us. So this is the place of being untamed. This is a place for standing up for your freedom and independence, not theoretically, not as a nice sentence, but as a way of being.
Well, there's so much to unpack there. You talked about say the Prime Minister of the UK and the old way,
Yes.
and then his heart being opened through the experience. And so you spoke to the old way, right? We can think of the patriarchy or the leadership that has been, and it being logical.
Yes.
And not heart-based. And I'm just curious if you can speak a little bit more to that, like the way that this demonstration of following an untamed heart might start to make change.
I think that the war in Ukraine is very unfortunately, I don't want to call it a teaching tool, but it's a wake-up call at the very least for the humanity. And if Zelensky or if Ukraine chose a path of logic, they would be nowhere.
Why? Say more about that.
Okay. Because logically, they had no chance from in the beginning of the war to win. What happened was energy happened. Energy that comes from the, like, nothing will move us. We will not give in. This is our land. That doesn't come from logic. Logic tells you run, hide, save yourself, save yourself, save your physical body. What comes in place is something that is higher than physical body, energy that is higher than physical body, energy that is stronger than fear. And that is the intelligence of the heart. That is when your heart becomes untamed, when you have nothing to lose. We don't have to, by the way, as humanity, to be pushed to that place, but that's pretty much what it shows us. We become that when we have nothing to lose. We can choose to become that sooner. And so
because I think about how often do we cling to safety rather than follow our heart.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's life and death. And I would say in many cases, it's life and death for our soul, for our aliveness, for our spirit.
Yeah. It is. It's so many times. In my personal life, I've experienced it many times. It's kind of like when we say we're going to start from nothing again. That's kind of death of everything that was before. We're going to start from nothing again. We need to become like children. We need to turn off the logic that tells us, you know this, and you know this, and you know this. We need to become pure again. We need to be like children who are ready whose hearts are open by default. By the way, they are the closest to the Creator. And we need to become and make choices that are aligned with the truth of our souls, not with the fear, that are not allowing the fear to drive us, not allowing the logic to limit us. So the logic is an amazing thing, and there's a place for it, but it's a place very often that creates limitations. When you are in a place when you totally aligned, people could say with your truth, people could say with your purpose, people could say with your soul, people could say with the life itself, you will know exactly what to do and which choices to make. Ukraine found themselves in that place. Yeah.
When we're talking about what, the kind of the big picture lessons here, and then I know you're talking with people on the front lines all the time. How can we help? Because I know it's like talking about it, getting visibility, letting people know what's happening. It's kind of, been hot in the news and then not in the news, and the media
Yes.
is controlling the narrative in certain ways. So I would love to hear you speak a little bit about that. Like, how can we help? And what have you seen about the way the media has been a part of this conversation?
Yes. So in the beginning, like the whole media went crazy. They were all like unleashed. People were untamed. Again, they went with the heart. They went with the truth, and they were covering. They were covering the what's happening in Ukraine, and all of a sudden it became quiet for whatever reason. Right now, because Zelensky won, I think partially because he won a Person of the Year award, I think that brings again a lot of light to the situation, and a lot of people want to cover it. But then people get fatigued from hearing about war. It's too painful. It's too much. Enough already. Like a lot of people, there's a saying that the hungry one, the one who has a lot to eat, I'm butchering the translation, but the one who has a lot to eat will never understand the hungry one. So sometimes we become the ones who have a lot of comfort. And so one of the things is to talk about it, to pray for Ukraine, to speak about it, even if you don't hear it in the news. We need to keep the conversation alive. It's very important to keep Ukraine in front, because right now, I said it before, but it really is. I spoke with a guy who's a soldier, and you see battalion that he's in the news all the time, and he told me, like, we need support right now more than ever before. We need the government level support. We need like US support. We need European support. We need them to give us what we need to finish this war. Right? What can we do? And so this is I can share with you what I do with Untamed Hearts. From the day one, we created a piece, a necklace. I have with me like 2 colors of it. It's a necklace bracelet. I'm wearing it as a bracelet and the necklace. And in my work, I said, there's no more business as usual until we win this war, until this is all over. And so my whole family started to make these pieces, and I took it to all my shows. I ask all people who are connected to Untamed Hearts one way or another to consider contributing by buying this, and 100% of this goes to Ukraine. It says, like, this little pendant says Untamed Hearts, and on the other side it says Peace for All. Peace for All is something that from the beginning of Untamed Hearts, from beginning of existence of Untamed Hearts, we stamped Peace for All. It was way before war. It was in 2016. And the whole inspiration behind Untamed Hearts was to be a portal, to speak for peace. We want peace in the world. To have peace in the world, we need unity. So Ukraine is showing us just that. The consciousness of oneness, of everybody coming together, the whole world coming together, people inside of Ukraine coming together. We are so physically far away from Ukraine, but our help makes a huge difference. So as people are buying these necklaces, they're only $42. I do have another style that is a little bit more expensive, but this one only $42 each. It adds up. And we raised, I don't know, I didn't do the latest numbers, but we raised more than $15,000. We sent so much things that soldiers needed, just because of us coming together as collective consciousness and giving our energy, giving our knowledge, giving our donations, buying this. And that's how materially I can measure what I can do on your behalf, altogether what we can do. And sending, I have a list from every time. I have a new list of things that they need. Right now, we just bought 3 very special computers that are going to be used on the front line. also as a result of raising money from these necklaces. And Darla, stop me if I'm saying too much about it.
Well,
But
I have one. I don't know why I didn't put it on today. They're beautiful, and the link will be below this video so people can go order, get them for gifts.
Yes,
100% goes right to the front lines.
100%.
And that's not something that's necessarily easy to do. You had to find a way to be able to get these supplies in to the front lines.
Yes, and I have a logistics. We created the logistics, and we have a whole team of people who work together. We get things that they need, and right now there are two most important things. One is whatever the soldiers will tell me, and some of it is extreme cold clothing, for military clothing. Then we get in computers, shoes, sleeping bags, but very special military grade sleeping bag. Everything is military grade. And then there's another thing that we're doing right now. We just sending people, and I know people personally, so I know that nothing is stolen, nothing disappears. It goes directly to people. Lights that are chargeable from USB and then stay, like I found the light that stays up for 300 hours. My friends, like I send it to them and they're like, oh my God, it's amazing. So like, just think about like what makes them the happiest right now. We have light when it's dark. And then power banks, we're sending power banks, we're sending warm things to people because winter is extremely cold and it's scary. We're sending some soups and things like that. So we just need to get winter ready, and we need to get through it no matter what. And for that, we need your support. And if you consider supporting Ukraine, please consider doing it through Untamed Hearts. And
can you speak to how else they can support through you?
So invite me to speak on any stages. I have spoken a lot, and it's never enough. The more of us speak, the more we spread the consciousness of oneness. The more of us, like each one of us, a little light, and we're creating this web of protection around Ukraine. We have different projects. And when we speak about it, even right now, when you're receiving this information, when you're hearing me speak, on whatever replay you're hearing it, we are sending energy to Ukraine. So there is invisible energetic field that we are creating by raising awareness, by talking about it, by praying, by supporting each other with our emotions about what is happening. Because by dealing with what stirs that war inside of us, we're dealing with the war inside of us. And remember that we need to start within.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm really present to, there's the practical, just like anything, there's the practical and then there's the spiritual. And it feels to me, I'm curious your thoughts, it feels to me pretty unpredictable that Ukraine is still defending freedom.
Yeah, we could have never.
And here we are, almost 10 months later. And I think you believe this also, that's energy. And that the energy of the heart is more powerful than that of logic or that of cruelty or domination or power over. And that's easy to say and hard to remember sometimes, but it feels really true in this case as I've, followed the activities of the war through you. So what would you like to say about that as we close here?
I would like to say that, first of all, the testimony to the leadership of the world, I'm going to bring it back there, is leading from the heart is what Ukraine is doing right now, is an example for every single one of us, how we can make choices in our personal lives, how we can choose to listen to that inner knowing inside of us that is coming from the intelligence of your heart, not your logic. I would like to invite everybody, and I never said this, I don't know if I do say, I work with people. The program that I created is Untame Your Heart, where I work with people and we really focus on all that. We focus on what is driving our lives. Where are you coming from? Where are you making your choices from? And to be in a place when you are making decisions and choices in your life from the place of no fears and no limitations. And the reason why I think it's so relevant right now and why it's so relevant to the conversation about Ukraine is because what Ukraine is doing, what leadership of Ukraine is doing, they are making decisions. They are speaking with the world. They are choosing from a place of no fears and limitations, no limitations, even though they had nothing, they didn't have enough. Like, you cannot imagine how every soldier needed to be dressed. They didn't have anything. They needed weapons, they needed protection for their bodies. They didn't have anything. And yet they didn't speak, they didn't bend their heads, they didn't speak from a place of fears or limitations. And just like that as a whole big conversation on its own. But we can see this.
Would you say that each person who untames their heart individually, even if you're not at war, shifts this consciousness and helps Ukraine?
Yes, thank you, Darla. Thank you for putting that perspective. So every time you do it inside of you, every time you create from the place of no fear, no limitation, every time you allow yourself, it is something to allow yourself to untame your heart, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. It doesn't necessarily have to be those 2 words, 3 words. But when you become internally liberated, free, and you create your life from that place, you are contributing to the life. You're contributing to the scale of light. Right now, this war, there's darkness and there's light. And every time we succeed, businesses that mean good for everybody, when we win, when we become relevant, we help to make the systems that don't work obsolete. So when you succeed and you have projects that create good, that have consciousness of peace, that have message of peace, that create something for people where everybody can win. And we know a lot of those businesses in our surroundings. When you become relevant, when you grow, when you expand, by sheer volume of us, we gonna make the systems that don't work obsolete. So start within, bring it into your communities, into your families, into your countries, bring it into your businesses. How do we do it in our business? We can do it. We can create new world. I believe that truly.
Thank you. So we'll have the link directly to buy the necklace and bracelet below this video. Julia, if someone wants to do the work of untaming their heart, what's their right step?
I'm gonna leave a link also, and they can book a session with me. They can get in touch with me. Maybe I'll leave my phone number down. I will write my phone number down so you can text me, and I will give you all the information you need to know.
Okay, so we'll put that information on how to access Julia for an Untame Your Heart session below this video as well. So We've covered a lot of ground, from the impact on the heart of hearing the bombs in the background, of thinking of children in the darkness, of remembering that this is continuing to go on, and keep it in our awareness when it's easier to forget. And we've talked about leadership and leadership from the heart, and this heart-based leadership being on the world stage, and the hope and the possibility of that. Is there anything you would like to leave people with?
I just want to send you love. This is the highest vibration of energy. I want you to feel it, and I want you to share it with people around you. And I want to thank you, Darla, for giving me the stage and the moment to speak about this. I love you. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Please like and share this video. That's one thing you can do to help get this message out. If you have an audience that Julia can come speak to, please reach out as well. This is Darla Ledoux, founder of Sourced, and may untaming your heart help you to shift the field. Bye, everyone.